Hello, all. Welcome to the Hilltop.
Hello, hello.
So, let's start with today's topic, something which I think is very personal to all of us. So, the reason I laugh standard till all the way standard, if I'm not wrong.
Initially, your voice is
What do you
breaking.
think?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, so yeah, I was just saying that, I probably have been in a tuition from my third standard, if that's the earliest I can remember, all the way till 12th standard, Siddharth.
Oh, that's just sad. Like, I don't remember doing this. I, in fact, went to tuition only twice. Like I mentioned yesterday, when I failed in maths in 12th. It is after that I went for tuitions. And उसके पहले एक बार मैं गया था क्योंकि मैं मतलब बैंगलोर आया था और मुझे कन्नड़ा थर्ड लैंग्वेज था तो मुझे आता नहीं था. So that is when I
Okay.
went for Kannada tuitions. But apart from that, I don't remember going. Like I remember a lot of my friends going, but I was like, point क्या है मतलब? See, I hated the whole idea of sitting at one place and studying, है ना? So
Okay.
I hated being in school. Like I loved everything else apart from the classroom.
Okay.
Now it did not make sense to me कि मैं स्कूल से निकल के वापस 2 घंटे के लिए स्कूल जाऊं. I was totally against it. I was like, नहीं होगा मेरे से. Sorry. And
Right.
it didn't like. So the whole idea behind not going for tuitions was कि आप क्लास में ध्यान दे दो तो ट्यूशन का जरूरत है भी नहीं. मतलब ऐसा कोई अपन रॉकेट साइंस तो पढ़ नहीं रहा है. मतलब वी आर लर्निंग ऑल
Right.
बेसिक शिट ओनली. So yeah, I remember I always used to trip on people who were like tuition जाना है. I'm like, तो स्कूल क्यों जा रहा है? अगर ट्यूशन भी जाना है स्कूल भी जाना है तो स्कूल क्या करने जा रहा है?
Right. Exactly.
मतलब
Huh.
dude, like बच्चों को खेलना वेलना भी होता है यार. तुम लोग खेलने नहीं देते हो अभी. Dude, I see it now, like it's more of parents getting rid of their children for 2-3 hours in a day apart from the school. It's more of that. And I see
Right.
kids nowadays who are in like first standard and second standard and they are going to tuition. I'm like, what? Like
Right.
nobody gives a shit about these kids. Like who cares how much they score? Like why do you have like I don't know, man. It's messed up.
And you know, the reason I picked this topic was I think one of the main reasons for the boom of the edtech startups these days is
Yep.
actually just an extension of this tuition culture.
Yep.
That I really want to think about this from the perspective that how something like this, something as silly as this, has actually contributed to multi-billion-dollar industry. And what's the main thought process behind it? So why would a parent, to start off, put someone in a tuition, Siddharth?
FOMO. Yeah, there's nothing else. Like see, if there is a class teacher है ना और वो क्लास टीचर इंग्लिश पढ़ाती है आपको और वो इंग्लिश की ट्यूशन भी ले
Right.
रही है तो
Right.
क्लास के सारे बच्चे जाएंगे. जो बच्चा नहीं जाएगा उसे इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस नहीं मिलेंगे. इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन का मतलब ही वो होता है कि क्लास को मतलब एग्जाम में 10 में से 8 क्वेश्चन ये वाले आने वाले हैं, है ना?
Correct.
So it is a parallel income source for the teachers first of all. So there is conflict of interest there because they'll be like, हाँ मैं स्कूल में minimum efforts डालूंगी because मुझे ट्यूशन भी बुलाना है इन लोगों को. सब कुछ स्कूल में पढ़ा दूंगी तो why would they come to my tuitions, है ना? And
Right.
on the side of the parents, it is insane FOMO. Like Indian parents would go through mountains. Like they will move mountains if that will help them. If that will help their kids' education, right? They're crazy concerned about education and schools and all of that. Like there are only two, three things that Indian parents want to do in their lives. Like there is education, then there is their kid's wedding, and then there is a house. There's nothing else. So one, if for education, if obviously Byju's came in with a pitch कि हम आपके बच्चों को टैब में पढ़ाएंगे, स्पेशल
Right,
अटेंशन देंगे, अगर आप लोकल
right.
स्कूल में जाते हैं आपके बच्चे तो एक टैब ले लो तो आपका बच्चा आइंस्टाइन
Pro
हो
बन
जाएगा,
जाएगा.
हो जाएगा. So
Exactly.
that like that's nothing but inducing FOMO, right? कि दूसरे बच्चे जा रहे हैं, आपका बच्चा पीछे रह जाएगा अगर आपने टैब नहीं लाके दिया
Right,
या आपने ट्यूशन नहीं भेजा. और डूड,
right.
कौन कौन जा रहा है? लाइक इट इज लाइक rickshaw pullers and maids and their kids. Like Byju's is targeting those people जिन
Yeah.
लोग का डेली वेजेस भी सॉर्टेड नहीं है. आप उनको 12 साल तक ईएमआई बंधवा रहे हो यार उनसे. अब
Oh,
लाइक
dude, so some of the things about Byju's are so screwed up. We'll get into this as we go along the video. But I think it starts with the basic theme that, boss, there's just a fear of having missed out. There's a fear of missing out. There's a fear of not scoring well enough, or not necessarily, I don't know, like missing out on the questions or missing out on special attention and all that stuff.
it's
And I think the whole idea is, and this is true for sure, uh, this talks so largely about the power of education, wherein, if you really think about it, education actually is an enabler of getting people out of poverty, of improving their living standards, of making them more innovative, for sure. Like, there is no argument, no debate, no doubt about it that education is the way to go. If you really think about it, and there's this particular quote which came to my head when we were talking about this, that when you speak to any leader in the world and you ask them a question that what is the most valuable asset in your country, initially they will, some may say software, some may say technology, some may say oil, some may say resources. But once you remind them that it's their kids who are their main assets, all of them end up agreeing.
yeah.
And that's because of education, right? It's because the power which education has to change the entire face and the entire, trajectory of a country. And when you think along those lines, and then you start thinking that, okay, that is the main call, that pursuit of education and getting better and learning and all that is what enables you to get better. That is why parents specifically want their kids to have an incredible education. So
Yeah, they don't want to leave any stone unturned.
exactly, in their particular what's the right word, in their particular agenda or their goal, they are absolutely right. And like most things, frickin' devil is in the details. Like most things, tuition, for example, my experience of tuition has been like this, and I feel really bad about this in the sense that I didn't get involved with a lot more extracurriculars because of this. That my first exposure to tuition was something like this, Siddharth, that I would have school from 8 to 4. So 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., which I think is oh my god, why the hell would you want someone to sit there for so long? It's the most
Yeah.
stupidest thing ever. But after that, I would get home. From 4 to 5, I would have a break, or 4 to 5:30. And then from 5:30 to 7:30, I would have tuition.
What?
And then from 7:30, I would finally get back home, and there would always be some sort of a homework or lab manual or all that shit.
Fuck, dude.
And I'll be like, what the hell's going on? Like, and this is me who's probably, I don't know, like still, in a very early age, developing my brain, looking at different possibilities, prospects, starting to learn how to think. Fucking learning how to think itself is such a,
Big deal,
like,
yeah.
such a big deal. So you really start thinking about those things, and you'll be like, damn, I mean, looking back, I'm like, I wonder how many years did I push my ability to think, or did my ability to feel ahead by how many years just because of the tuition culture? And regarding what they would teach you, right? It's all fucking bullshit, dude. Like,
It's the same thing you're taught in school. मैं वही तो बोल रहा हूँ स्कूल क्यों जा रहा है pick one either go to tuitions or go to school. It's the same fucking thing. And see, like you said ना जो तेरा routine था like from morning till evening you're occupied. I think that was what most children went through in our age, and even those who after our age who go to tuitions, right? You come
yep,
back from school, you have a break for a while, you eat something, then you go back to tuitions. 2 hours you're in tuitions, and then you come
right.
back. Then there is school ka homework. Then there is tuition ka homework. Dude, these kids are fucking busier than investment bankers, dude. And like, why? Like, I remember having my priorities straight, okay, from the word go. Like, as soon as I
Right,
used to come back from school, I was like, "मैं 1 घंटा कार्टून नेटवर्क देखेगा मैं, ठीक है, स्वॉट कैट देखेगा, मेरे को 2-3 चीजें पसंद है, मैं वो देखेगा, 5-6 बज जाएगा, फिर मैं 2 घंटा
right,
खेलने जाएगा, मेरे
right.
को खेलना है ना, आई डोंट केयर इफ nobody is there on the street, I'll run around if there's nobody on the street. But I will make sure for 2 hours I am gonna play every day, like no matter
Right,
what, right?
right.
And then in the night, if I have like 1 hour somewhere in the spare, I'll do off some homework or whatever. Because in my head, I was like, I have already given 7 hours in the day to studies when I was in school.
Right.
Why am I supposed to give any more time to studies? It's not like it's going to make a huge difference. I ended up
Right.
scoring well above 90% in all my exams all over school.
Right.
So
Right.
I didn't really see why, why people would go to tuitions. Now I understand there are all kinds of students, and like other students need to go to tuitions and all that. But it is also because, like you mentioned right in the beginning, that it is a ticket for a better life, a good
Right.
education in a family,
Right.
right? And
Right.
for most middle class Indian parents, their son's education or their daughter's education and him or her getting placed in a good company and earning well enough is a ticket for their exit from that struggle of daily lower middle class Indian life.
Right.
And
Right.
that is the reason they keep putting so much pressure on their kids that
Right.
keep studying, get good marks, become a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer, and
Right.
they get us out of this misery, because we've been miserable for a while now, dude. Dude, our parents are pre-Narsim Rao government parents, dude. We were poor as fuck. Like
Right.
all most of our families were middle class, lower middle class guys. We didn't have as much to spend, or even indulge. Indulging
Right.
was once a year.
Right.
So our parents have come out of that experience, and their parents, like their childhood was drastically different, right? That was the time. It was the emergency ka time. That was
Exactly.
pre-emergency. So they've seen a lot of struggles, and their whole idea is कि भाई एक अच्छा education बच्चे को दिला देंगे, वो free हो जाएगा, अपना life set कर लेगा, और हमारा भी life set कर लेगा. And there's nothing
Right.
wrong with that, है ना? But the approach needs tinkering. Like you can't expect a 10-year-old boy to be occupied for 11 hours a day, dude. You're gonna end up
So,
screwing up with him.
so now, coming to the initial thing, that look, from first thing is, parents' heart or parents' intention is not to be blamed here. We'll come to the
Yeah, it's not.
methodology next.
It's not.
But
It's not.
starting with them, that boss, they have the absolute best intention in their head, okay?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
know that this can be the way forward, this can be a path to a better future. I mean, let's take
It's
simple
simple, na?
example.
It's pursuit of happiness. Everybody is allowed to do that.
Right. Where this ends up really screwing shit up is, what has happened now is, you show me a candidate who has 95% in, from first standard till 10th standard till 11th till 12th, and even in engineering he has 95%. I will never hire him. I will talk to him and I'll be like, so पढ़ाई छोड़ के और कुछ किया नहीं क्या तू?
कुछ नहीं किया है लोगों ने, वही वही। And that is a problem, dude. Like your
Yeah,
your overall development gets hindered. Like I saw so many people who were insane artists, who were insane singers, who were,
right,
like they had good talent. They were crazy sports people.
right,
You remember from our college also, there were so many guys who were like, we never knew that, such kind of people exist and they're sitting in our class. Like that, we used to come out only once in a semester where we spoke about, extracurriculars or activities or whatever. And there was
right.
so much, like, you remember that one guy who was interested in rockets, and he like, if you saw him normally, you would be like, like, no ways, right? You remember Puneet, he was so much
Right.
interested into trains and shit. Like, we all laughed at
Trains.
him कि इसको train का driver बनने
Oh,
का है. But that guy
boss,
was
he's
actually
doing some
passionate about.
crazy work.
Yeah, I've been following
Yeah,
him.
and he's doing some crazy work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a cyclist now and professional, like long distance cyclist. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean, so uh, होता क्या है ना, people, एक तो उनका बच्चों का जो भी इंटरेस्ट होता है, that is suppressed throughout school and
Mm-hmm.
college, right? Once they are out, once they are earning, once they are, in a company where they're earning good money and all that, now they try and start exploring these things, right? Now they try and start exploring कि अच्छा, मुझे मुझे बचपन में ये इंटरेस्ट था, अभी I can, indulge in that interest. I can afford to buy a guitar, I can afford classes, or I can afford an expensive cycle and all of that. But what you lose out is not just the hobby while growing up. What you also lose out is a lot of character building when you're pursuing these hobbies, right?
So
And that character,
I actually want to talk a little bit more about this character building. But yeah, continue. Sorry to interrupt.
so this character building happens when when kids interact with other kids, right? When they play a sport, playing any sport teaches you teamwork, teaches you how to deal with failure, teaches you how to be humble in when you're a winner. It teaches you confidence, teaches you strategizing, teaches you how to interact with people. Playing a team sport is the best thing that can happen to a child if he's done it in as a kid, right?
Absolutely.
Pl- Pursuing art, pursuing painting, pursuing going up on stage and talking in front of your own schoolmates, that can do wonders to a child's confidence. Like, I remember when I just entered high school, and there was some competition, right? It was extempore, and I was like, fuck yeah, man, I'm made for this stuff. Give it to me, right? And I went up and I spoke, and I won it, and it was insane. I loved it, dude. Like, I loved that feeling where, and I don't remember after that extempore competition having stage fright ever. It can be any stage. I
Right,
really didn't have stage fright anymore, right? And
right.
I could stand up in front of 100 unknown people and speak my mind out,
Right.
and not be afraid to do that, because I had confidence in my abilities. I had confidence in the written word, and I had confidence in what I had read, and what I was giving out, what my opinions were. So all these things come with going to competitions, going to extracurriculars, pursuing things apart from textbooks right from college. And it's very important. Like, I'm not saying I'm killing it right now, right? I'm not saying there's like I've achieved so many different things and all that. Obviously, I'm struggling with a lot of things, but at the same time, I know what my strengths are. I know what I can do, I know what I can't do, and I'm pretty confident in my abilities, that okay, this is something I can really do. This is something that, is an extension of my character and my abilities, and I'll be good at this. That
Right.
is a very important thing to have for each and every child, and I think we are taking that away because we're not giving them time, dude. Like, a kid grows, his mental abilities, his characters, all of it is formed in childhood, right? Most of it is before you're 12 years old. And what are 12-year-olds doing? Like even in our age, they were mostly like you said, your routine is I think 95% of the people would agree with that routine. Like, हाँ मेरा भी
So
यही routine है.
I actually speak to my cousins nowadays and what they do, right? Young cousins, and they have an even more tightly packed schedule. They
Yep,
actually
yep.
start their day at like 6:30, probably have an early morning class, then go to their school. Then the school itself has these integrated tuitions.
Yeah.
And then they do that integrated tuition and then they come back home and then they have an app like Byju's which is waiting for them, for which their parents have probably paid a big amount. Then they end up seeing that, and
And dude, it's
I
तुम
don't know,
10th
like,
पास कर लो, 10th या 10th से निकलते ही अगर तुम्हें साइंस लेना है तो तुम्हें फिर या तो कोटा जाओ या अपने यहाँ पे ही कोई इंटीग्रेटेड क्लास ज्वाइन कर लो और
right,
वो आपको सुबह से शाम घसते रहेंगे. But dude, this is the critical age. 15, 16, 17, 18 is when hormones start acting up. When you hit
yeah,
puberty, when
right,
a lot of your body changes are experienced, right? And that can have adverse effects on you if you're not around people you love or if you're not around your parents, right? Because you need people to talk to that, what the fuck is happening to me? And at that time, there are all the young engineers are in Kota or in Hyderabad or wherever, and it's just so fucked up.
so the reason I'm awfully quiet is I'm just remembering. So I keep telling this repeatedly. I think I've told this to you also
Uh-huh.
in the past, that when I look back and I think about it, I don't remember having a very close school friend, or I don't remember what happened in school. I don't have memories for it. And the only logical conclusion I can think of is I was probably numb throughout the whole period.
Yeah, and dude, you are not alone. Like that's what I'm trying to explain. Most of the our generation is like that. They were numb throughout school, like because they were not given a chance to explore anything else. Because they were like tuition, school, homework,
Right,
and like, and it so. See, in every child's life, right, there comes a point where they have to fight with their parents. Okay.
right,
You can be humble about it or you can be a bitch about it. If you're
right.
humble about it, you'll still have good relationship with your parents, but you'll get your freedom. If you're a bitch about it, you'll get your freedom, but your relationship with your parents will get fucked. Right?
Absolutely.
There's just two ways about it to go about it.
Right,
And
right,
that like kids need that confidence to stand up to their parents because the parents are not always right. बट वो आएगा कहाँ से कॉन्फिडेंस जब बचपन से ही मतलब they've been following orders.
basically they've been neutered.
Yeah, they've been. I don't know, man, and it's so sad because you see kids and you see possibilities, man. You see insane possibilities that हाँ कुछ भी हो सकता है ना, मतलब बंदा कुछ भी कर सकता है. Like obviously, I'm talking about a utopian world, but at least let's try and get close to that utopian world, if not achieve the utopia.
So coming back to one of the things which I have experienced, and this is something which I realized so late in my life that I regret it. Uh, Again, this I attribute something like this to tuitions itself, because of that numb sort of routine and all. Have you? So I forgot, or I still have a problem figuring out what my opinion is about something.
Oh,
So I'll give you an example, and this was so fucked up. I'll give you an example of this, something which you don't think about really, but say, for example, we've gone to a place to have a milkshake or an ice cream,
huh.
and I would more often than not end up ordering what people around are ordering. I
Huh.
never really sat down and thought that what do I like,
Huh.
or rather, what is my opinion, or what am I interested in, or what is that milkshake which I want to enjoy.
Right.
And this is for something as silly as that. But this
Right.
actually was a problem when I was building my first company,
Mm-hmm.
which was, one thing is, I'm so happy that I decided not to, take a employment route, take a corporate route, but start working on startups from day one.
Mm-hmm.
In the first company which I was building, I was working with two other people, and I found myself, despite probably knowing that, okay, maybe this direction is right, maybe this direction is wrong, I found myself not being able to express that opinion as clearly or as precisely as I wanted to, because I wasn't sure what is this thought which is coming in my head.
Right.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I'll tell you what I like. I'll tell you what I got. Like, see, you're basically saying that quality of being an independent thinker and forming one's
Exactly.
own opinions,
Yes.
that was never nurtured. That was never developed as a kid,
Exactly.
because you were numb throughout, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And look, like, I had some
And
incredible partners.
that only comes with freedom, dude. I'm telling you, like, it cannot come anyhow any other way, because I I'm the exact opposite. Okay, I have a clear fucking opinion on everything. Like, I'm too opinionated, and I've faced so much slack also for it. But I will not bow down, because I'm pretty clear since my childhood that, you know what, I there are certain things I think is right, there are certain things I don't agree with and I think are
Right.
wrong, and there are certain principles that I want to follow, right?
Right.
Like, so I've been completely open about it. Like, so I remember, and this is because of the freedoms I got as a child, and I fought
Right.
for those freedoms. Like, my I remember my mom was like, once summer holidays come, I'll send you for summer camps. I was like, fuck that, I'm not going for any summer camps. I want to be free. I want to do what I want, right? If I
Right.
want to sleep all day in my holidays, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to
Right.
be tied down to some classes for 2 hours and all of that, right?
Right.
And because of that, even they had to eventually listen to me. And I obviously, I'll give a lot of credit to my parents. Okay, most of it is my dad, if
Right.
nothing else, because he has always operated at a level of freedom personally, that
Right.
he doesn't see the point in, prisoning somebody else. Like, he's always been like, yeah, do what you, why would I tell you not to do certain things? And I've been lucky in that aspect, right? But that's what I'm
Right.
trying to say, that unless you've got that freedom, or say you don't have that freedom, then stand up and fight for it. Tell them,
Right.
no, man, I don't want to do this. Like, this is something I don't agree with, and I'm sorry, I will not do it. It's okay. Like,
and and yeah, the second part, so I was coming to the second part, right? That entire aspect of, not being able to be an independent thinker, despite having a lot of, at least I felt I had a lot of those skills, or I had a lot of understanding of a lot of different things,
mhm.
but not being able to process those thoughts, and not being able to
Form an
communicate it
opinion and then
form an
communicate it.
opinion very clearly, and then communicate it in a way where, the other person also understands your perspective. Because
Right.
look, as far as I can tell, even my first startup, even in the current startup, there's never a problem of the individual. More often than not, it ends up coming down to communication and being as open as possible. And
Most human problems are
e-
communication problems. There's nothing
exactly,
else. Yeah.
exactly. And the fact that I was not able to formulate that till, dude, I'm talking about even through engineering, right? This was a struggle which I had.
Hmm.
I even through my first startup where we had thousands of customers, this was a problem I had. And I
Hmm.
had to literally sit down, and I'm not joking, because this thought process, or this opinions, or what do I feel, that
Right.
itself was not that clear.
Hmm.
And you'll be like, how are you attributing this to tuition? My idea here is this: you say experience something in a day. To understand what that means, to be able to think about it and to be able to communicate it, that
Hmm.
itself requires breathing room.
Yep. Yep.
Especially when you're young, right? That itself requires significant amount of breathing room.
Because that's when you form a lot of your, foundational opinions and foundational knowledge on a lot of things like relationships, like emotions, like feelings. Like you said, like I didn't know what to feel, right? And you're right, there's so many people, like just like you said, like there's so many people who don't know what they're feeling. Like if
Right,
something is making them happy, they don't really acknowledge it, they don't accept it, and because
right.
they don't know that it's making them feel happy. And that is so sad. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just
absolutely.
plain, like you should be able to experience emotions, you should be able to, form your opinions on emotions, you should be able, and that is also the core of relationship building,
Right,
feelings and emotions, right?
right,
If you're
right.
not, if you're not in touch with your own emotions and feelings, relationships end up becoming really hard.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
And
this breathing room is completely destroyed if you have a packed schedule, especially when you're young.
yep.
In fact, one of the things which I was telling you the other day, Siddharth, so as this, like I keep telling, right, we run a video marketing business. And I was telling Siddharth the other day that, Siddharth, I'm sure we can approach a lot more clients and, get so many more projects. But it will be at a trade off of our time.
Yeah.
Like I'm 100% sure that if me and Siddharth, sit aggressively on sales, we'll close so many more projects, but we'll not have time to think, feel, and maybe look at opportunities which pop up,
Yep.
look at ideas which pop up. And the reason I bring this up and why this is something which a lot of parents have to think deeply about is the world we live in today is a world where you can't train someone for it. The
Yep.
underlying principle of a tuition or a coaching center or whatever you want to call it is you're able to train someone for it. You're able to make sure that he is ready and employable. The problem is most good job roles these days are something you can't train for.
Yeah,
Data
people are looking
analytics,
for independent
software,
thinkers. Yeah.
financial analysts. These guys need to be able to think independently. They need to be able to form opinions, figure out a scientific process as to how to justify that opinion. And that cannot be taught in a tuition. That is extremely experiential. And this is where an entire shift happens. The second thing is to be able to think like this, to be able to form ideas which are really different and revolutionary, it requires incredible amount of breathing room. You
Yep.
got to be able to sit and just, not do anything for extended periods of time.
Yep.
And if you pack someone's schedule, right, you have eliminated that entire, what do you want to call it? You've eliminated that entire aspect of that person's being, basically.
Yep.
Like, you've not let him form those opinions. You've not let him think. You've not let him, and I want to stress on this, you have not let him develop how to think, right?
Yeah,
You have not
that is
let
more
him
important.
develop how to form an opinion or what formulates an opinion, right? What formulates a preference. What do you think about that, Siddharth?
Yeah, I totally agreed, man. Like, because see, unless unless people are like, so I'll tell you honestly, because there's this culture of tuitioning and there's this culture of, robots being trained, being coming out into the job market. Like you said, if you want to become a leader, if you want to become someone who starts a company or, does something new in any aspect of life, you have to be an independent thinker. But that is what is not happening, and we are happy with this whole system of producing robots because we don't want independent thinkers, we don't want success, like innovative leaders and independent thinkers. We want robots, we want people who can do the grunt work, who can fulfill this Indian dream of being the back office of the world. And we
Right.
are fine with it, we are actually pursuing it aggressively as a society कि
Right.
हमको आप बैक ऑफिस दे दो, हम रोबोट जैसा हम एक्सेल चलाएगा। मैं मस्त इंजीनियरिंग और एमबीए करके आया हूँ, बट मैं आके आपके यहाँ बैठ के एक्सेल चलाऊंगा और आपका
Right.
पिवट टेबल रन करूंगा और आपको मस्त डेटा देगा और नंबर क्रंचिंग करूंगा। नंबर मस्त आता है मेरे को, मैं नंबर करके दे दूंगा आपको।
Right.
डिसीजन जो लेना है ना उस नंबर के बेसिस पे, उस डेटा के बेसिस पे, वो हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा। क्योंकि उसमें क्या है ना कि उसमें आ जाती है रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, उसमें आ जाता है कि पीपल विल आस्क कि व्हाई डिड यू टेक दिस डिसीजन, उसमें आ जाता है कि भाई you have to give answers, na? Ki,
Right.
okay, you decided this. Now you are responsible for it. Now you are responsible for the consequences of it also.
Right.
We are not
Right.
ready for that because we are not trained, first of all, to
Right.
be independent, and secondly we are too scared of the consequences. What if I fail? What if
Right.
the decision that I took is going to end up leading into a loss? Or
Right.
failure के साथ तो अपना relationship is a very
I think
complicated.
this has to be a topic which we discuss separately. India's relationship with failure. But anyway.
Yeah. So it all connects, na? That's what I'm trying to
Right.
say. Okay, we are trying to build an army of robots. We are not trying to build independent thinkers. And we're not even appreciative of independent thinking. Like we'll always look down upon it. Okay, nahi. Like it makes us uncomfortable if somebody is an independent thinker. कि ये ऐसे क्यों कर रहा है? इसको बचपन में ट्यूशन नहीं गया क्या ये? इसको पता नहीं है क्या ऐसे होता है?
And coming to the next part, which is the scenario right now.
Oh, it's so much worse,
So
dude.
a large chunk of edtech startups have basically, driven the same tuition culture in India, and they have built up businesses. They have built up, what's the right word? They have built up their entire, multi-billion-dollar business just on trying to leverage the same insecurity which normal tuition teachers or normal teachers leveraged in the past, which is the fear of missing out. And this time, instead of having a normal tuition teacher talking to you, they have Harvard PhDs, they have the best of the brightest brains trying to figure out the best way to sell that story to you. They have some incredible talent who knows how to market anything. They'll be able to sell you like the worst kind of snake oil.
Yeah, and they've just
With
taken
this,
tuitions online. That's all they've
and
done.
all they have done is they've taken tuitions online, and now, at least on the other side of tuition, where one thing I do remember is I do remember socializing a lot around tuitions, and kind of having I learned, at least I was lucky that in later on in my life some of my tuition teachers were really incredible people in themselves. I learned they focused on instead of teaching, I think you remember, so that 12th standard, our maths teacher, she would focus a lot on, where you're going to use this and all that.
Yep.
But that physical connection and that social relation I had with someone where it at least built some of my social skill sets, that is also completely eliminated. Now it's a freaking
Yeah,
pre-recorded video on a
exactly,
screen.
exactly.
And
पहले ट्यूशन में लोग ट्यूशन जाते थे कि भाई मेरी जो मतलब मेरे को जिस बंदी पे क्रश है वो कौन सी ट्यूशन जा रही है तो मैं
मैं
भी
वहां
उधर
पे
जाऊंगा
जाऊंगा.
है ना
Yeah.
स्कूल भी इस हिसाब से चेंज हो जाता था यार आई हैव फ्रेंड्स हु शिफ्टेड स्कूल्स कि यार वो वहां जा रही है मैं भी वहां जा रहा हूँ ट्यूशन भी वो उसके जा रही है तो मैं उसके वहां जा रहा हूँ और ट्यूशन में
Right.
कोई पढ़ने नहीं जाता है ट्यूशन में ठीक है एक या दो बच्चे होते हैं जो पढ़ने के लिए आते हैं बाकी सब या तो लड़के ताड़ने आ रहे हैं या लड़कियां ताड़ने आ रहे हैं या समोसे खाने जा रहे हैं
Right.
मतलब वो चिल करने आ रहे हैं यार
Right.
एंड वो भी एस्पेक्ट अब खत्म हो गया लाइक यू सेड कि अब एवरीथिंग
Yeah.
इज ऑनलाइन तो अब पता नहीं डूड दिस मेक्स मी टू सैड मैन लाइक सोशल लाइफ ही खत्म हो रहा है यार सब कुछ आप
Yeah.
ऑनलाइन करोगे
Yeah. I mean, it has its pros, but see, it has its pros when you've got to a certain age, not in your formative years.
Yep.
Like you
So
will have.
I'll give you an
Yeah.
example, okay, of something that really helped me because I had the freedom, right?
Right.
And it's still a part of my life. So after school, I have an obsession with reading, okay? I love books, and I used to spend at least an hour or two in the school library after school just scouring for books and reading whatever I could. And that also had the freedom because I chose to opt for traveling in BMTC buses in Bangalore. I was completely against the whole auto or taxi because I saw and people like they were filling kids like cattle inside those taxis. And I was like, ये नहीं हो पाएगा मेरे से. At the dude 100 रुपए का बस पास बनता था मेरे को आज भी याद है मेरे घर से स्कूल तक का और वो साल भर का चलता था एंड उसमें मेरे को फ्रीडम था कि मैं कभी भी कोई भी बस में चढ़ सकता हूँ और कहीं भी मतलब मेरे घर के वहां उतर सकता हूँ तो
Right.
it was a godsend for me. I could stay as long as I want after school, right? So I used to spend a lot
Right.
of time in the library after books. And apart from the library, there were two or three friends of mine. We used to go to a nearby temple and just chill and talk. It was one of our hilltop hangers. It was one of the, like we are doing it now. I used to do
Yeah.
that with two other friends. We discussed so many things. We discussed, in that period of 1 or 2 years, we discussed physics, we discussed religion. We used to discuss. At one point, we came to a question in terms of what is fire. If everything can be defined in atoms and molecules, how do you define fire, right? And we were stumped. We were like, yeah, dude, what is fire? What the fuck is fire? And we spent almost an hour talking about it. I'm sure it was bullshit, okay, but the fact that we could do it was just very easy, right? It was very uh, liberating in a sense. So coming back to what I was saying, I used to spend some time in the library. Stumbled upon a few books on religion, on my own religion and other religions as well. And when I read these books, I came to the conclusion that, dude, religion is just trying to make a fool out of all of us, like all religions, not any one religion in particular. And this was in ninth standard. So I came back home and I sat my mom down. Like, I used to live with my grandparents, but when I came back home in Rajasthan, I sat my mom down, my parents down, and I told them, "Kid, listen, after today, please don't ask me to, go to a temple or follow a Baba or whatever, because I have completely given up on religion. I don't want religion anymore in my life. I'm an atheist since today." Okay, this was a ninth standard, and obviously you don't convert overnight, right? You decide one day, then it takes you at least 4 5 years to make sure that you completely bring it out of your system, because you've been trained into that system since you were a kid, right? But it takes some time, it takes some independent thinking, it takes some freedom to come out of that whole thing. So now I'm an atheist, right? And I'm proudly so. And I say it out loud also. I say it to my friends, I say it to my family, and I don't have any issues about it. My family obviously does. They keep fighting with me on it. But I have a simple answer that is, listen, it's not just about your religion. I don't like any religions, right? I'm a good person. I do my own good deeds. I go teach underprivileged children when I have the time. I do that weekly. I have a few things that I do that I don't need to preach that I do, right? So that I'm called a good person. I am a good person. I know it. So that is an example of the independent thinking that I grew up with. I could form an opinion about my life. I could make a decision about my life. Listen, this is what everybody does, but I do not want to do this, and this is why I'm giving up on it. No, this wouldn't have been possible if my routine was like yours, Nikhil, or my parents were so obsessed about tuition, ghar, homework, and all of that. Nahi hota.
Right.
And also because since high school I've lived away from my parents, so that freedom came in automatically to me. Like, I wasn't under direct supervision. That speaks volumes about how much control parents have in your life since you're a kid. And I'm not saying that's bad, but all I'm saying is you need to sometimes zoom out and think about what is good and what is not really good for you. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean,
And I want to talk a little bit more also about this. That I also feel that tuitions are a remedy for a problem which truly is the lack of faith in schools in India.
yep.
This moves to very nicely, this moves to the next point, which is, and that is also completely justified. In fact, one of the decisions me and my wife have taken, that whenever we do have kids 5 10 years down the lane, it is going to be very clear that he or she will be homeschooled.
Yep. Very,
And
very important.
I'm I'm so firm about that because of the really foolish experience I've had in school. A really foolish experience I've had in school. There's no way I would put someone through that.
Eh, like it's a relative experience na yaar. You have had a bad experience, right? Not necessary that your kids will also have a bad
So
experience.
I'm telling from the perspective that the common thing of sitting from 8 to 4 on a desk listening to someone talk for an hour.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like,
What are
yeah.
you saying, dude? That's not how you learn. That's not how anyone will learn. And I don't know. And all of you are facing. I find it so weird. Like, how was this even acceptable? And the weirdest part was where I have learned the most is again through experimenting, experiential learning, discussing, etc. In schools and colleges, the common, if you want to have a question for the teacher, the common trope is, boss, shut the fuck up and sit down or come to me later.
Yeah.
And when you're really interested in the topic and you hear an answer like that, right, that actually kills your interest to even question sometimes.
Yep. It
And
hinders questioning
and
ability.
the worst part, and this is my frustration even to this day, the worst, absolute worst part is all of them in school they are training you for marks, in college they are training you for entrance exams, and in university they are training you for job.
Yep.
And anything outside of that purview, it's like, why are you wasting our time?
That's what I'm saying. No, we're raising a glorified robot army in India.
Yeah.
We're not raising anybody who can be like if he is an independent thinker or if he is trying to do something different, then he's either a dropout or he has not taken the education system seriously in
Yeah.
all fairness. Otherwise, if somebody has taken it seriously, then it's really difficult to break. I'm not saying there's nobody who's been through the education system and has killed it. Obviously there are hundreds of people, thousands of people. A majority of them are such kind of people, but for them to break out of the mold of being a robot and then coming into the world and becoming independent has been a journey. Like they have had to unlearn whatever they have learned in school, in college, and in university, and then start from scratch to build
Yep.
into something that they have, right? You ask any of them, they'll tell you the same thing, that all of that I had learned, I had to unlearn and I had to start from zero.
Right.
And that is
And
so fucked up. Like if they were since the beginning, if they were encouraged to be independent, imagine
yeah,
where these
where would
guys
they
would
be?
be. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know, still find it so frustrating that we've not had a, you know, like $100 billion company from India. And
Uh,
no, I'm not talking about, of course, come on, guys, I'm not referring to Infosys and TCS, but
that's
I'm talking
labor
about
arbitrage, dude. That's not company, dude. Like that's
they're HR companies, guys, come on.
it's
But
back office.
I'm referring to a truly innovative business, and I would attribute tuition culture for this, boss. And the worst part about this is now this has been completely. So let me break this down to you. Why I get so irritated about this today is, as of now, if you really think about it, anyone has access to the same information for free.
Yep.
For free, you can go on YouTube and learn anything you want. And now with this was not actually possible when we were young, and I can understand, okay, kuch bhi karke at least padhai ke liye tuition bhejo. But now, despite having this completely free access, companies like Byju's and all these other guys have managed to convince the people who can't afford this shit, who can't afford to
Yep.
spend on tuition, to spend on, mobile phones and freaking fancy tablets. You don't need any of that.
Yep.
They have somehow managed to convince these guys to spend tens of thousands of rupees every year,
Yep.
lakhs of rupees sometimes over a period of 3-4 years.
I didn't
And
understand.
that,
Like honestly, dude. Like even Unacademy started as a YouTube channel. I
right.
don't understand how it is $1 billion company today. Like, kya? Like they've just exported their videos from YouTube to their website. That's what they've done now. Like I understand the community aspect of it. I understand there are specific teachers who, they reward and inside their community. But as an infrastructure, they haven't built anything new. It's the same thing that YouTube does. You can upload any videos you want. And if you heard of Khan Academy, like you'll know what I'm talking about, right? Like Nikhil introduced me to Khan
Of
Academy, and
course. So, guys,
it was insane. It was eye-opening, the kind of shit Khan Academy was doing, and I was like, hey, this guy's doing it for free. Why is there anybody else charging for it, and why are people paying for it? Like I don't see any instructor or any YouTube channel that is better than Khan Academy in terms of teaching. Like they
absolutely,
follow
man.
first principles thinking in teaching also. Nobody else does
Dude,
that.
I'll tell you this. I found this out about myself, recently. Khan Academy has this mindset, and I loved it. And I want to actually break it down because this very nicely communicates the point which you're trying to say. What Salman Khan says, the founder of Khan Academy, of course, not a Being Human guys, Being Human guys, come on. So what Salman Khan says is that look, as you are going through your grades in school, so as you're going through your classes, you learn statistics, you learn algebra, you learn geometry, you learn calculus, you learn science, you learn maths, you learn all these different things. If you have to really get mastery in these subjects, what ends up happening in a typical classroom is, say you imagine a bricks of algebra, right? Now, if you're preparing for an exam, you may not need all the 100 bricks to actually ace that exam,
Right.
because you have MCQs and you have question choices, and I'm sure you remember that you can leave certain chapters completely because you have a choice and you can skip that shit.
Yep.
So you, of course, in your exam you've got 100 on 100 or you've got 95 on 100, which is a very good score. But as you go higher and higher in your career or in the classes or in the grades, these foundational bricks will start fumbling because you have not built every single layer properly.
You've only
You have
studied
not
for
built
the exam. You've optimized for the exam.
You have optimized for the exam, right? He's telling you're not optimized for the mastery or skill. So Khan Academy has this test where I click on algebra and I click on statistics, for example, and it has this very nice test, simple questions, boss. Anyone can take it. I recommend each one of you do. It will tell you that which skill in statistics you lack, which skill in algebra you lack.
Right.
Now, why is this important? And why is this something you have to think about? And why mastery is so important is, I found this out about myself, Siddharth. I have a pathetic understanding of mean, median, and mode, a fundamental statistical skill. I ranked 0 on Khan Academy, and I am fucking someone who scored like 97 out of 100 in my 10th in math.
I call Nikhil Centum. His number
And
is saved as Centum.
why
on
am
my
I
phone.
telling you? Why am I telling you this? Because I have such a very okay understanding of statistics, I think that has contributed to the fact that I've not been able to build programming as a skill set or data analytics as a skill set for myself.
Right. I'll have to
And
take this test also, dude. I know. I want to
and
know
you will
what is
be like,
fucked
shit,
up.
I never thought about this. And I took calculus and I was acing calculus. I took algebra, I aced algebra. I took integration, like, integral maths, I aced that. I like freaking mean, median and mode of statistics मेरे को नहीं समझ आ रहा. And later I found out that basic arithmetic of real numbers and Venn diagrams and all that was another thing which I have a glaring hole in my skill set.
Right. And
And I am
like
like,
you,
huh?
it was so surprising for you, na? You never thought of it
Yeah.
that way, right?
I'm like, damn, like I was like, I'm pro in math, I'll fucking ace the test.
Exactly.
What the hell? These huge blocks are missing in my thinking, and the reason I'm bringing this up is this tool is completely free. And what Unacademy is also doing or Byju's is doing is they are again optimizing for exams. And the screwed up part is you no longer have job roles which are well paying, where you can have these holes in your skills. You got to be a complete person, boss. You got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to think differently. You got to be able to execute shit like, and if you're not doing any one of these things, you're gone. You'll have a very okay role of, not being paid well enough, basically.
Because there's somebody else who's ready to do it, who's
Exactly.
capable of all of these things.
And this part that, you have glaring holes in your skills, I think tuition culture also pushes it a lot further.
Yeah, because everything that we study and learn as kids is an optimization for the final exam. Like, tell me one thing you learned as a kid that was not for your exams. Like,
Right.
unless you went to summer camp, of course.
Right. Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, like, I think we should add Khan Academy ka link in somewhere in the description or something.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that you guys check it out. Go take that free test and understand that where your learning has lagged since childhood, because most
Yeah.
of most of your life right now is a result of the things that happened with you in your childhood, right? And
Absolutely.
whether
But
it is
yeah.
your development, brain development, or whatever, like most of them you can trace them back to your childhood. So it's a good tool, and you should have it. Like Nikhil mentioned, all of these online tech startups are again optimizing for exams. Nobody is optimizing for learning. Khan Academy is, it's funded by
Yeah.
Bill and Melinda Gates.
And
It's a
okay,
huge
the
deal.
second part I want to talk about. The second part I want to talk about is there's a common trend which I've seen these days parents do, and it's very frustrating to watch as well.
Mhm.
And you'll be like, okay, who the hell am I to talk about this, or I'm not some educator or anything like that. Okay, so what I can say is, if you have to take what I'm saying seriously, I built my first company which we sold completely learning everything from Google. The second company which we're building, completely new business. I don't have a media, backing or anything. Completely new idea. Again, learned everything on my own from Google for free. Why do I bring this up? I have seen this trend started with White Hat Junior, where parents are putting their kids, fucking 4-year-old kids, 5-year-old kids, into programming classes,
Oh
into
yeah.
into entrepreneurship classes. And the reason I'm telling this so confidently is we actually had a client. We did
Huh.
work for them. We
Yep.
did video marketing work for them,
Yep.
where they were telling that we will create detective and police classes for kids. 4-5-year-old kids. We did the campaign, boss. I mean, we were like, okay, I mean, you do it and whatever it is. But it was just so weird to hear that.
It's nauseating, dude, after a while. It's like,
And they're paying big dollars for this. So that per class they pay like 1,000 to 2,000 bucks, okay, per class.
yep, yep.
एंड आई वाज लाइक, बॉस अगर तुमको प्रोग्रामिंग सिखाना है ना, उसको एक लिनक्स का लैपटॉप लाके पकड़ाओ हाथ में, खुद फिगर आउट कर लेगा अगर वो प्रोग्रामिंग दिमाग है उसका. या फिर एंड दिस इज फॉर यू ऑल्सो सिद्धार्थ, बिकॉज आई मीन जस्ट फ्रॉम अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड नोइंग, लाइक आई हैव स्पेंट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम ऑन दिस वेबसाइट. जस्ट गो टू freecodecamp.org.
Yep,
Completely free, every freaking programming language and data analytics language which you need today. Freaking AI ML courses for completely free. Zero, like एक रुपया नहीं लेगा तेरे से वो. और वहां पे tens of thousands of people across the globe have graduated from those classes, and they are successful programmers, they are successful data analysts, they are successful, whatever it is. In fact, this is a discussion which I have had a lot with you, Siddharth, which is, dude, I feel very bad when I have to create a paid course or a paid program.
Yeah, dude, honestly, me too. Because I don't see the value in it. I'm like,
Exactly.
it feels like I'm taking somebody for a ride.
Exactly.
Because all that I have got is from Google, like you said. Even all the
Right.
skills that I have right now are for free that I searched on Google, and that's the
Yeah.
power of the internet, man. You don't need to pay anybody to learn stuff. Like you can go online and just look for it, and you'll get it.
And by the way, I want to stress it to all of you guys there that me, Siddharth, and Kishore, we have another partner. We have brainstormed a lot about launching our courses for various myriad of topics, and we have never done it because we have like a serious mental block. There's huge amount of money in selling courses, okay? You like huge amount of money can be made. And I'm not joking, the numbers are in crores and multi crores with a very small team. The point
It's
is,
the
we,
principle that doesn't allow us to do
yeah,
it.
so we have not been able to execute. Have you thought about it really? Like we have not executed it because we're like, यार ये कैसे charge कैसे करे इसके
एथिकल
लिए
नहीं
किसी
लगता
को?
ना यार, वो सबकॉन्शियस माइंड ही अलाउ नहीं करता कि यार
Yeah,
ये तो मतलब चूतिया काट रहे हो आप सामने वाले का।
and and yeah, like the reason I'm bringing these things up is, guys, please don't put them into paid courses like this.
हाँ, और हर कोई बच्चा कोडर थोड़ी है यार, तुम क्या बात लाइक, अब ये तो कोई बोलने वाली बात भी नहीं है, तुमको समझना चाहिए ये चीज कि हर कोई कोडर या हर कोई एंटरप्रेन्योर नहीं बनता है।
Exactly.
वो तुमको ऐसा लाइन क्यों बोल रहे हैं कि भाई बिल गेट्स ने 4 years old में कोडिंग स्टार्ट कर दी थी? क्योंकि उसे तुम्हें कोर्स बेचना है अपना। वो
Exactly.
तो तुमको भी पता है बिल गेट्स ने बचपन से कोडिंग स्टार्ट कर दी थी, अगर तुम्हें सिखाना ही है वो क्यों स्टार्ट करे? अच्छा चलो, बिल गेट्स ने कोडिंग स्टार्ट करी थी एट व्हेन ही वाज 4 years old. व्हाई डू यू थिंक ही डिड दैट? He saw a computer in a school, in one of the very few schools that had a computer at that time, so it was something new. This guy was curious कि ये क्या चीज है ना, and he spent time on that. He loved it, so
And
he kept
and
spending
guys,
time on it.
and
अगर उसकी
guys,
मम्मी बोल
he
देती ना
spent
कि नहीं आके होमवर्क कर, ये कर वो कर, तो वो नहीं करता ना फिर।
and wait, he didn't spend time on it, Siddharth. He thought it was a toy and he started playing with it.
हाँ, exactly. All coding, all of these guys, you ask them, you read their interviews, the first thing they'll say is, yeah, initially it was just fun. That is why they did it, right? So the core of it is still that if kids want to have fun, dude, and if they like coding and they're having fun with it, then it's okay. Let them do it. Then put them to White Hat Junior or whatever. But if they're having fun and playing cricket, let them do that.
Yeah,
Let kids be kids, dude. Like, I mean, you don't get that time again, man, and then you're scarred for life. They'll start blaming you as parents कि मेरी जिंदगी खराब कर दी बचपन से ट्यूशन डाल के ये करके। क्यों चाहते हो इतना सब इमोशनल बैगेज? बचपन से ही फ्री रखो बच्चों को, चिल
yeah,
रखो।
absolutely.
Yeah,
This
man, it's
is
pretty.
एंड या गाइस, प्लीज अगर करवाना भी है ना उससे फ्री में कराओ यार, इस पे खर्चा मत करो प्लीज.
हाँ, पैसा ज्यादा है क्या यार? क्या है
मेरे को भेज दो, डोनेशन लिंक देता हूँ मैं डिस्क्रिप्शन में. बिकॉज स्टूडेंट, ये वैल्यूज कम नहीं है सिद्धार्थ. द टिकट साइज इज ह्यूज. मैं आई हैव अ कजिन, स्कूल का जितना फीस है ना उतना फीस से ज्यादा वो कोर्सेज और ट्यूशन पे खर्चा करता है. और
और
स्कूल
अच्छा,
का फीस आजकल कम नहीं है.
मेरे को एंड रिजल्ट बताओ इसका. चलो ट्यूशन व्यूशन सब ले लिया, कोर्स वोर्स सब कर लिया, होगा क्या?
ब्रो सैलरी मिलेगा ब्रो.
नहीं, 10th में तो आप पास आउट ही होंगे ना 10th से, फिर उसके बाद
Exactly.
11वीं 12वीं करनी पड़ेगी. परसेंटेज में 5% का फर्क आ जाएगा ज्यादा से ज्यादा, और क्या फर्क आएगा? 5-10% का.
Exactly, exactly.
Nobody gives a shit about what you scored in your 10th and 12th apart from
Dude,
you.
not one client of mine has asked me what did you score in your 10th.
कोई नहीं पूछता यार ऐसे,
He
कोई
all he
बात नहीं
cares
करता
about
ऐसे.
is what his results are. Can you deliver those results to him? That
हाँ.
is all he cares about. And this is sad that, and the problem over here is the most valuable skill right now, I can tell you this, is the ability to think differently. The ability to just freaking sit your ass down and think. And by constantly putting them in courses and tuitions, you have eliminated that. You have completely eliminated that. The kid has not learned how to think. He's not learned how to form opinions. He's not learned how to ideate, how to. And what I am for is, if you're putting him or allowing him to do a workshop maybe once a week with lots of other kids working on some projects hands on, I'll be like, go for it. No way should he be sitting in a tuition where he's either seeing a pre-recorded course or he's sitting down with a bunch of other kids, and like school, when there's someone teaching on the blackboard, someone else is teaching on a smaller blackboard at their home. If that is the experience you're giving your kid, there's no way he'll be interested. And the kinds of careers and jobs which are possible today are not dependent on rote learning, I can assure you that. In India, forget about other countries, in India there's gamers who earn crores of rupees a month. Gamers, all they know how to do is to play PUBG well. That's their skill set, Siddharth.
Yep,
They're
yep.
killing it. They have a good personality. They are able to communicate and talk well. They're absolutely killing it. Like,
वो
why do I
वो
know about?
पबजी भी अच्छा नहीं खेल रहा है, पता है? वो बस कमेंट बढ़िया कर रहा है अपनी स्ट्रीम पे कि ये गाली अच्छी दे रहा है वो, कि
Yeah,
ये है, ये वो है ना, और उसको
and
मिल रहा है उसका पैसा बिकॉज इट्स
and
एंटरटेनिंग.
and Einstein का जो quote है ना, which it should be like it should be fixed in your head. That if you judge a fish by its ability to climb,
Yeah, how is it? Yeah,
what
so true, so true. आई
like
थिंक
what are
निखिल का
you?
ना, निखिल का बचपन का पूरा भड़ास निकल रहा है यार, कि ये सब हुआ मेरे साथ. And that is the story of every young Indian kid, dude. Like,
Dude, especially in urban areas, especially in
yeah,
urban areas.
at least,
At
yeah,
least,
at least in rural areas they get the chance to, get out, socialize, and all of that.
yeah.
Urban areas, plus we lead such a protected life. Like all, I see these kids and kids nowadays who are, and their parents who are overly protective of their kids. थोड़ा भी लग गया तो ये.
Like the whole day
Dude,
has to be perfectly
हाँ.
scheduled, like to the last second.
उसके अलावा भी हल्का सा भी उसको कहीं लग गया, या उसको कहीं डिस्टर्ब हो गया उसको, या उसको अनकंफर्टेबल फील हो गया, तो लाइक ओ मेरा बच्चा. डूड, like I remember I used to go into fucking gutters to bring out a ball. I used to jump into wells. My mom used to come and tell me, तेरे को मरने वरने से डर नहीं लगता क्या, तू कुएं में क्यों कूद रहा है, बॉल में ला के दे दूंगी.
Yeah.
And we were slapped left, right, and center, dude. आजकल तो बच्चों को थप्पड़ मारना is like something huge.
Capital
हम
punishment, Siddharth.
बहुत, अभी उसको फैंसी नेम देने से बदल थोड़ी जाएगा. It's the same thing. I used to get belted by my parents, dude, left, right, and center, and like that has obviously shaped my personality. I'm not grown to be distant, or I've had some issues with them. I'm thankful that they beat me up, वरना मैं कुछ और होता आज.
Oh, I also tell you this. I found this out, very recently. There's some tuition centers. I forgot the name. Starts with W or something. So this guy, I think he sold it off now. I don't think he's still running it. This guy, if you would come late to his tuitions, would actually do capital punishment. Hit you with some rods and all that stuff. And parents are dying to put their kids into those tuitions.
हाँ, अरे देयर आर पेरेंट टीचर मीटिंग्स लेजिट, जहाँ पे पेरेंट्स आके बोलते हैं अब तो मारो, अब तो इसको मारो, जितना मारना मारो, मैं रोक ही नहीं रहा हूँ, पर इसका मार्क्स बढ़ाओ बस कैसे भी, हमको 90% चाहिए. Like it's a factory and you can optimize him for production, dude. No, it's your kid. Calm down. It's okay.
Anyway,
Sad
this
shit.
was all. This was all
Yeah.
for today's episode.
Please
This is
check out
something
Khan
very
Academy. It's a very
yeah.
useful tool.
Khan Academy, free code camp.
Go ahead, Nikhil. You were saying something.
Yeah, so this was an episode which, I think something which needs to be discussed, needs to be told. Uh, and I think an important thing is this, in conclusion, right, of all these things, like a lot of this is driven by insecurity that, okay, uh, I don't know what will happen with my kid. I mean, I want to make sure he has a good career and all. The best thing you can do for him is teach him how to learn. Don't tell him what to learn. Teach him how to learn,
Let him figure
and
out what he wants to learn.
and he'll figure out what has to be done. Like if you can teach him how to learn, boss, you don't know. Tomorrow he'll launch an NFT and he can become a millionaire overnight. But if he's protected and all that stuff, there's no chance he'll even hear about what an NFT is because, well, no one has trained him for an NFT. And I think career opportunities will open up if you teach him how to learn, and that's it. That's it. That's all your job is. Teach him how
No,
to learn.
nurture curiosity, man. Like, don't discourage curiosity. Give them a few basic principles. कि हाँ ये सही है, ये गलत है. All that is fine. Let
Yeah.
them learn a few basics of science and maths and English and languages and social science. That is also, required. But also make sure you encourage them to be curious. If they ask a question, tell them to figure out an answer. point them towards the right direction. Tell him कि हाँ इस book में मिलेगा शायद इसका आंसर या Google कर
Oh,
ले.
and the reason why I'm telling this is I have met so many people our age, Siddharth. Forget our age, the new generation who haven't learned how to Google properly.
Yeah, that's a very that you know what, it is a very appreciated and underrated skill, how to Google
Yeah,
properly. Like a lot of people who think they know how to Google properly also don't. Like I
yeah,
include myself in that, okay? And that's a skill set to have in today's world. If you can Google shit properly, you'll
yeah,
half your answers are answered then and there in the first
yeah,
page.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that would be my parting words. And there's a lot of pent up frustrations about tuitions in my age. So sorry if I came out too passionate.
But yeah, I mean, it's required to show the miserability people like kids went through, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for
Thank you
watching the
so
Hilltop.
much.
I'd love it. If you participate in the Hilltop, so please let us know in the comment section below. We cover a lot of different topics. The next topic also we'll let you know soon. I'll share the link everywhere. And this podcast is available on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast, on YouTube as well as this video. So make sure you tune in for that as well. Thank you so much. See you in our next video.
Bye bye.